Okay, let's see who's on tonight. Myself, Angelus, Jim, Kevin, Roy. Good evening, Meg.
Hi.
6. So, Meg, Roy, George, Law. Okay. Wait another couple of moments here, and then get started. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the East Hampton Planning and Zoning Commission. Tonight is July 1st, it's 7 o'clock, and we are on a Zoom meeting this evening. I would like to seat, let's see, Tim this evening, because Roland will not be here. He is traveling right now. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 3rd, 2020 regular meeting with any corrections anybody might happen to have?
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion on the floor and seconded. Any comments, questions, additions, subtractions to this? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, so moved. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of June 15th, 2020 with any corrections that anybody might happen to have?
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor from Jim. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, I have a couple of seconds there, but this is fine. So we have a motion on the floor and seconded to approve the minutes of the June 15th special meeting. Any discussion, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any objections?
Will
Any?
abstain, as I was not there.
Okay, you're abstaining?
Yes.
Okay. So noted, motion carries. Communications, Jeremy.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Liaison reports. Let's see, Roy.
Can you hear me? I can't see any of you guys anymore, but there's no report from the building committee. We're still in limbo, waiting to disband.
Okay. You say you can't see us?
It's on my end. I got to fix it. I
Oh,
saw you a
okay.
minute ago. Okay, keep going. Thank you.
Let's see, Mr. Senate.
Yes, I listened in on the Zoom meeting on the Zoning Board of Appeals that was held June the 8th. They had 2 applications. The first one was Kara Zokowski, 45 Dave Point Road, for a variance to reduce the rear setback from 25 feet to 1.3, to demo an existing house and rebuild a new single-family house. And that was granted. And the other one you heard about at the special meeting that was granted, and that was the one that was East Hampton's Broadhaven Park Beach Road. And that's one that was granted for that variance they had.
Okay. Inland wetlands, we'll cover that under the individual agenda items. Let's see. Kevin.
Nothing to report at this time.
Roland is not with us. Meg?
Nothing, thank you.
Angelus?
Nothing.
Okay, and Tim?
Nothing. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move on. And
Mr. Chairman,
yes. Michael, go ahead.
yep.
I'm sorry, I skipped over you.
So last Monday, we had the kickoff meeting for the Regional Plan of Conservation and Development public participation. We actually had a full turnout. We maxed out the Zoom session. So there will be another one next Tuesday if anyone is interested in attending. And this is
Tried logging in and I couldn't get in.
yeah. So next Tuesday at 7, they're having a second session. The webinar is also available on the RiverCog website. And this is in preparation for the joint town meeting with East Hampton and Portland's land use boards on August 19th. That's a Wednesday.
Okay.
All right.
And I'll piggyback on that, Mr. Chairman, real quick. I did send out a link and an invite this afternoon to that follow-up meeting for next Tuesday, so it should be in your inbox.
Thank you. I did get it. Thank you for sending that. Let's see. This is the section for public comments on anything that should be heard by this commission that is not part of the public hearings, which are the agenda items under number 5. Is there anybody, member of the public, that wishes to say anything?
We've got members. Give me a moment. I'm going to unmute them and allow them to talk. And anybody that's out there that wants to talk, you can do so now.
Hello.
What I'm going to do is I will request or I will allow later anybody that might have a comment toward the end of the meeting, because I know that there's some connection issues and Zoom has been a little squirrely lately. I don't know why. So we will come back to that, either that or raise your hand at some point, and Jeremy will see that and we can see if we can get those comments. Jeremy, could you read wait a minute, as long as we're on public comments. Tonight's meeting is a meeting on Zoom. What we hope to do, I've spoken with Jeremy about this, is we hope next month in August for our regularly scheduled meeting that there will actually be the technology hooked up inside or in the town hall. And then what we would like to try and do is have a meeting that is live, that you can come to the meeting. But for those members, our members of the public that are not comfortable given the pandemic, that they do not want to come down to town hall in person for any concern, we are going to try and have that on the Zoom platform or another platform where we can have video conferencing tied in with the live meeting. So we're going to, it's again, more new uncharted territory, but I hope that that will be something that we can actually have next month. So moving on. Jeremy, could you read the legal notice for July 1st, 2020?
Notice is hereby given that the East Hampton Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a regular meeting on July 1, 2020 to discuss the following. Application PZC 20-001 Sports on 66 LLC, 265 West High Street for a special permit to sell alcohol as an accessory use, section 84B, map 6, block 12, lot 20. Application PZC 20-002 Stanislaw Alexenko, 11 Cone Road, 4-lot subdivision of 14.766 acre parcel, map 6, block 36, lot 6A. Application PZC 20-004 Lisa Sherman, 50 Main Street for a zone change R1 to POR, map 02A, block 47, lot 25. Application PZC 20-010 Edgewater Hill Enterprises, East High Street for a re-subdivision for 2 lots, map 10A, block 85, lot 5C, and updates to section 3.1 Lake Pocatapog Protection Zone.
Thank you, Jeremy. So we're on now 5A, which is the application of application PZC 20-001 Sports on 66 LLC, 265 West High Street for a special permit to sell alcohol as an accessory use, section 8.4.B, map 6, block 12, lot 20. The applicant has requested an extension to this application. The applicant has further requested further extension to this application. The statutory allowance, given the further 90 days by executive order due to the pandemic, this public hearing can be opened as late as September 2nd, 2020. Could I have a motion to continue this public hearing for the application PZC 20-001 Sports on 66 LLC, 265 West High Street, for a special permit to sell alcohol as an accessory use, section 8.4.b, map 6, block 12, lot 20, for the reasons that it is at the request of the applicant that we continue this application to the next regularly scheduled meeting of the East Hampton Planning and Zoning Commission.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I have a
Second.
motion on the floor from Kevin. Do I have a second?
Second, Roy.
Okay, I have a second. Thank you, Roy. And any comments or discussion on this? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections, any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. Application B, 5B, application PZC-20-002, Stanislaw Oslenko, 11 Cone Road, 4-lot subdivision of 14.776 acre parcel, map 6, block 36, lot 6A. We have heard this before. We have reviewed in some detail the plans for this. There were a number of issues that were revolving around the common driveway road and the turnaround for that. And if the applicant, first is the applicant here.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Frank Magnotta here for the record.
Okay, could you give us a brief history and just briefly outline again what you are looking for?
Okay. The application as it reads is for a 4-lot subdivision. One of the lots with an existing house on it that's recently been built. The other 3 lots are on the opposite side of the brook that crosses through the property that requires a driveway access to get across the brook. The brook runs parallel to Cone Road and literally runs the whole length of the property. Because of the wetland issues and the requirement for a single driveway crossing, we've designed a single access drive for 3 lots, which are on the west side of the brook. On the site plan that's been pulled up there, you can see the lot are relatively large, and the houses in that are relatively well spread out on that part of the property. That side of the property is probably about 11 or 12 acres in size on the west side of the brook. The application has gone through a wetlands permit for the crossing and all the activities relative to the wetlands. All the engineering issues and comments were resolved out of some notes. I think the only outstanding issue that the commission had asked for.
Frank?
Yes.
You cut out the last couple of sentences. Could you please repeat that?
Okay. I have something is pausing here. I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi or it's the Zoom, but it pauses on me periodically.
No problem. If you could just repeat the last 2 sentences.
All right. We had been before the Wetlands Commission, and we have a permit from that. And as of the last meeting with this commission, the engineering issues were all resolved and revised on the current plans. What the commission had asked for at that time were write-ups of the maintenance agreements for the shared driveway. And Attorney George Law had prepared those, and I believe had submitted them a couple of weeks ago to the commission. George is on yet? He should be, I believe, now.
I am here.
Okay. I would leave the discussion of the maintenance agreements to George, but as I said, as of the meeting, that was the only, I believe, the only outstanding issue the commission was waiting for.
George, could you tell us a little bit about the maintenance agreement?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I prepared a declaration of access, drainage, and utility easement and maintenance agreement for the area up through the circle, the cul-de-sac, and submitted it to Mr. DeCarly since the last meeting. It provides, as the drive falls completely on, the ownership of it is completely on that center lot, lot 3. It provides that lot 3 will have control and the obligation to maintain the driveway in accordance with the provisions of the subdivision regulations of East Hampton that are directed toward new roads, so that they will be installed and maintained in accordance with section 7-2. And then within it, probably of less concern to this commission, it speaks to the owner of Lot 3's rights to collect proportionate shares of the fees for maintaining from the other 2 lots. But it does put upon the owner of Lot 3 the burden of maintaining, those roads in accordance with the subdivision regulations for new roads in East Hampton.
Jeremy, is it 7.2 or 10? I don't know, 12, or I guess.
I'm sorry, section 12.2.
Okay.
I'm not great with Roman numerals.
That's all right. I'm not either. That's it's like, am I reading this wrong? Okay.
Yeah, no, 12.2, excuse me.
It's all right.
So I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity to see it. I know Jeremy had it, acknowledged receipt of it.
Jeremy, did we hear from Rich Carella on this? Did he look at this over to see if it was okay, or
I didn't have Rich Carella look over it, but members of the staff, the fire marshal, and a few others have looked at it, and we are all comfortable with the language within that agreement.
Okay.
Okay, any comments or further?
I have a question.
Jim?
At the very beginning, you indicated that you may have to ask for a waiver on the road. Is that gone away so that you're meeting all the requirements and you don't have to ask for a waiver?
The waiver, I'll jump in. The waiver was
Frank
submitted-
McNaught again. Again, because of the restricted access. Yes, the request was submitted, and it's still required for the 3 lots on the west side of the brook. Again, because of the restrictions on crossing that brook and activities around those wetlands, we only could produce one crossing. The crossing also is a sizable culvert and relatively expensive, but we are limited to just one for that whole part of the subdivision. It's relatively low density.
Asking for a waiver then for the
Yes.
requirements?
Yes, to serve 3 lots on that shared driveway, on that access road.
If you only serve 2, would you be meeting the requirements?
Yes, if there were only 2 lots there, yes, that would.
Okay, and so you need a variance to serve
Waiver.
to serve 3.
That is correct.
Well, no, it's not a variance. Variances are issued by the ZBA. Your regulations state that a waiver for up to 3 driveways on a single shared driveway can be issued by your commission by a 3/4 majority vote.
Okay, now, Jeremy, is that part of this application, or is that going to be a separate one?
No, that is part of this application. We have received that waiver request that came in with the application a number of months ago.
I know, it's all getting a little fuzzy. Thank you. Any other members of the commission have any comments or questions?
I like the driveway there. I think that that's a better layout than what we've seen previously, so I'm okay with that.
Okay, so the waiver would have to allow 3 lots, right? Right, Jeremy?
Yeah, the waiver allows the 3 lots to use the single shared driveway. As far as I'm concerned, if the commission votes to approve the subdivision as shown on the plans, and as long as you do it by a 3/4 majority, then you also approve the waiver at the same time.
Okay,
Wouldn't you have to vote for the waiver first?
You can do it that way.
I think
We'll
that's
leave that
cleaner.
up to the chairman as to
That's
whether or
what
not
we've
he wants
done
to
in
do
the
it that
past.
way.
well, my thought with this, Jim, and this is for discussion, was that if we include it as part of the motion to approve, if that's what the commission would like to do, then what we can do is we can include it as part of the application with a waiver to allow 3 lots to use a single driveway. Would that be all right?
That's a little different than what we've done in the past, but
Well,
I
we
think
could do
what
it that way.
Jim's alluding to is like if the waiver doesn't pass, then the application wouldn't pass. I think that's all he's getting at there.
Okay, we'll do the waiver first. Oh, this is a public hearing, so I'd like to open this up to the members of the public. If any members of the public would like to weigh in on this particular application, any comments, we would appreciate it.
I'm going to unmute the mics.
Thank you.
And give me just a moment here. All right. Everyone should have the ability to speak at this time if they would choose to.
Anybody wish to speak on this application from the public? No? Okay. What I would like to do then, if it's all right with the commission, I'd like to close the public hearing on this and move this particular application. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I have a motion to close the public hearing for application PZC-20-002, Stanislaus Lenko, 11 Cone Road, 4-lot subdivision, 14.766 acres, map 6, block 36, lot 6A. Do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Tim.
Okay, Tim just seconded that. Although I need comments or discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections, any abstentions? Motion carries. I would like to have a motion for the, let me word this correctly. I would like to have a motion to waive the requirement for a for a
3-lot subdivision.
Okay. I'd like to have a motion to waive the requirement of 2 lots on a single driveway to allow for 3 lots on the shared single driveway for the application PZC 20-002, Stanislaus Lenko, 11 Cone Road, 4-lot subdivision of 14.766 acres, map 6, block 36, lot 6A, for the following reasons, that this would be consistent with having a single driveway for environmental reasons for this particular lot. And it would still be with the waiver in accordance with the planning and zoning regulations of the town of East Hampton. Can I have a motion to that effect?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion from Kevin. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. It's Tim.
Tim seconded it. Any comments or discussions on this? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections?
aye.
I'm sorry?
I object.
Okay, we have-
I vote no. I feel that it should be 2 lots back there.
okay, we have one objection. Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. I would like a motion to approve the application PZC-20-002 Stanislaus Lenko, 11 Cohen Road, 4-lot subdivision of 14.766 acres, map 6, block 36, lot 6A, for the following reasons. It meets planning and zoning regulations. The inland wetlands permit has been obtained, positive comments from the fire department. Then the maintenance agreement is in place for the common driveway. With the following conditions: the town staff be notified prior to start of construction, and that all ENS controls are in place prior to start of construction. Do I have a motion to that effect?
I would like to add to the motion that it meets the environmental concerns.
Okay, it's included in, well, are you making that motion?
Yeah, I'd like to add to that motion and then make the motion with that change.
We have a motion on the floor. Anybody else who wishes to add anything to this motion? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Can I have a second, please?
This is Tim. I'll second.
I have a motion on the floor. It's seconded by Tim. Any discussion on this?
There's no other open items, right, Jeremy, with this?
Correct.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, because the other passed.
Okay. Any objections, any abstentions? So moved unanimously.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
Very much.
You're welcome. Okay, application PZC-20-004, Lisa Sherman, 50 Main Street, for a zone change R1 to POR, map 02, block 47, lot 25. I would like to move this to our next regularly scheduled meeting because we still haven't decided on PZC-20-003, which is the amendment to the zoning regulations for the POR zone. I don't, if that's all right with everybody, if we could have a motion to move this to our next regularly scheduled meeting. We are not in any kind of time trouble on this either. So,
Yeah, I agree with you, Ray. I think we were all on the same page last time we met. So I don't think anything's changed unless, I'm speaking out of turn here.
no, you're not speaking out of turn. I'm looking for, if this is all right with the commission, to move this to the next regularly scheduled meeting. If I can get a motion from you, Kevin.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve that we extend it to our next regularly scheduled meeting for application PZC 20-002. Or, PZC 20-004. Lisa Sherman, 50 Main Street, for a zone change R1 to POR, map 02A / block 47 / lot 25. And the applicant requested this, right?
No, we're doing this on our own.
Okay.
Yeah, the applicant is not on the call either, so she clearly is not ready to proceed anyway.
So can we make that part of the motion then, or?
No, you can if you want. You don't have to if you don't want.
Seeing as the applicant isn't available, and I would like to push to the next meeting.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second it, Roy.
Okay, I have a second from both Jim and Roy. Any comments or discussions on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Objections, any abstentions? No, okay, moving on. Application 5D, application PZC-20-010, Edgewater Hill Enterprises, East High Street, for a re-subdivision of 2 lots map 10A, block 85, lot 5C. I see the applicant here.
Hey,
Would you
guys.
please speak
How
to
are
this
you?
application and what are you trying to do and why are you trying to do it? Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Ray.
Hi, for the record, Harry Heller. I'm an attorney with an office at 736 Route 32 in Uncasville, representing the applicant. Also attending the meeting is David McKay from Boundaries, the design engineer for the subdivision, as well as Steve and Lisa Motto, the principals of the Edgewater entities. This is a proposal for a two-lot re-subdivision to create two additional lots within the Edgewater Hill project, which is a master planned community within the mixed-use development district that was approved by the commission in 2012. Proposed lot 1 is a 28,000 square foot lot, which is located on the easterly side of East High Street, which is intended to accommodate the development of Market Square 2, which is the mirror image of Market Square 1, which was the building completed last year. It has, it's intended to have commercial on the first floor and residential on the 2 upper floors. That site plan application is later in your agenda this evening. The second proposed lot is located easterly and southerly of the town hall parcel. It's about a 7-acre piece, and it is intended to accommodate multifamily residential development. The plan that Jeremy has on the screen now is an overlay of the proposed 2-lot subdivision over the master plan for Edgewater Hill that was approved by the commission in 2012. And you can see by the overlay that this subdivision is entirely consistent with the master plan that was approved by your commission. Now, because neither of these lots are intended for single-family residential development, anything that occurs on either lot will need to come back to your commission for site plan approval under your MUDD regulations. This application was considered by the Inland Wetlands Commission last month, as the lots are located within upland review areas and are also in the Lake Pocatapog protection area. And the commission voted to forward a favorable recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission for the approval of the subdivision. We also provided notice to all property owners located within 200 feet of the pendency of the application by certified mail. The proposal is in compliance with the mixed-use development district master plan approval for Edgewater Hill, and as such, it is in compliance with the zoning regulations of the town of East Hampton. And I would urge the commission to approve the subdivision. At this point, all we're asking you to approve the creation of the lot lines for parcel purposes, and we'll discuss in detail the future development of the lot 1 later on in your agenda. And at a future date, we will present to you a site plan for the development of proposed lot 2. With that, I'd be glad to address any questions that the commission may have.
Any questions from any of the commission members? I do have a question on this. I understand it's in, and I did check, that is in compliance with the master plan. Why is it being re-subdivided?
It's a re-subdivision because it is a subdivision of an existing lot that is delineated on an existing subdivision plan. So by law, under 818 of the Connecticut General Statutes and your regulations, that constitutes a re-subdivision. And the lot lines are being created for financing purposes. This is a very complex project from both a legal and a financing perspective. So we have to create lots from time to time in order to accommodate the financing needs to get the construction financing for the project.
Thank you. Any other comments from the commission?
Yeah, Jeremy, this is Tim. Could you just put your cursor around the lots that are the lot that's being subdivided? So, okay. So
That's lot 2.
Mhm.
And then lot 1 is up on East High Street with the heavy lines. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to get myself unmuted, right? So this is the larger lot that will accommodate the apartments in the future, and then there's a much smaller lot that the lines are pretty hard to see on this map. I can zoom in. The lot lines themselves, it's basically a square box here, which encapsulates this area here for MS2.
Got it. Thank you.
And that's the exact same size as the other side, correct? Across the street.
The configuration of the parcel is a little different. The building is the exact same size. It's the mirror image of the one across the street.
Yeah, but lot size, I mean, it's about the same.
About the same, yes.
Is it a little smaller?
I think it is a little small. I'd have to check the site plan for MS1.
But immaterial, right? I mean,
right, it meets all the bulk requirements with parking and.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'm going to open this up to the public as well as to the commission. So, Jeremy, if you could unmute, and I would welcome at this point by being recognized comments on this application from the members of the public.
I've opened up the line, so if there's any public, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Larry Lowe, Walnut Avenue. And regarding the first lot where he's building the replica of the building across the street, will there be enough parking for handicap access? And will the parking lot adjoin the town property and parking lot also?
If anybody from the applicant would like to answer that one.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think that's a more appropriate question for the site plan application, which is later on the agenda.
Okay, I will reserve it to that at that particular point. Now,
Mr. Lowe, what was your address again? On
Walnut Avenue.
Yeah,
46. 46.
I will say that the site plan application is not a public hearing, so you know, so just do what you want with that question at this time.
Because I understand, Attorney Haller, that it's a valid point that you have, that's a question for the site plan. Would you like to address that issue at this point or at the site plan time?
I can do however the commission feels comfortable with. The reason I suggested that we defer is that the plan that is before you with this application does not portray any parking or any building location. It's simply an application to create a parcel of land, whereas we have all of the detail on the site plan. But if Jeremy wants to pull up the site plan, I can address the question.
This is a very valid point. What I would like to do then, I would like to serve that particular question to the site plan application, but I will not forget it, Mr. Lowe.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a comment or question on this application? Which is just for a re-subdivision, I'm sorry. It's for, a re-subdivision for 2 lots. Hello? No? Okay. I realize this is a little awkward with the Zoom meeting and with things cutting in and out. So if anybody has anything to say about this, I'm going to ask again. Okay.
This is Angela. Are we voting on this tonight?
We don't have to vote on it, but I would like to vote on it to move it forward.
I mean, my concern is just given the scope and size of these types of projects and the type of meeting we're having here and the technological difficulties, and just I think that it'd be good if we were going to be in a normal setting next week or next month, anticipate that at least. I think it might give the public a better chance to have access and provide comments on this project.
This is Moto.
Angelus, if I can jump in here, I know that they did mention that they needed to get some, they have a financial issue there, and that's why they wanted to subdivide it. So it would put a hindrance on them moving forward on the project. It's not really, it's just a subdivision, a re-subdivision, really. There's no building being done, on this piece of property, but I think that they really need it for financial statement or for financial purposes, the loan application and meeting those requirements. I would tend to want to move this along if we could.
I didn't think that we were supposed to take into consideration financial circumstances when deciding whether to approve or deny an application.
So I agree. Angelus, you don't need to take into financial consideration. I would agree with that. What I would say to your statement, Angelus, is that this plan had a prior approval back in 2012. The master plan was approved, and the sketch that's up on the screen right now, the red underlying tones that you see are the already approved master plan, and then the stuff that you see in the black lines is what has actually been either constructed or approved for construction. So you can see that it's consistent with the master plan. And if you look at the area there where the apartments are, which I'll zoom back out in a moment here, you'll notice that the lot configuration pretty much mirrors the area that they'll need for those apartments. And then for the MS2 building, you can see, and I've got that zoomed in right now, it's almost identical to what was approved back in 2012. It may have moved by a couple of feet possibly to the west, I think. But I would say that, with all of the scrutiny that this thing has seen, from my perspective, I don't see a need to hold off until we're in public. It went through a pretty heavy public hearing process back in 2012 when the master plan was approved, and this is all consistent with it. As we move further into the development, if things start to change dramatically from the pre-approved master plan, then it might make sense to scrutinize it a little bit further, but this does match up with what was already approved.
Angelus, how about this? What we can do, because this is an extraordinary circumstance that we're dealing with this pandemic, I can administratively allow for comment on a site plan. So if we include that public comment on the site plan application, would that allay your concerns?
Not really, because my concerns are just whether or not the public had a reasonable access to this meeting, just given the fact that it's not in the traditional setting, that's all. But it's up to you guys. If someone wants to make a motion, they can.
If I may, again, for the record, Harry Heller, this is a re-subdivision application. It's purely an administrative function of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And your sole charge is to review the application to ensure that it is in accordance with your zoning regulations and your subdivision regulations. And because this is in a overlay district, the mixed use development district, compliance with the master plan is in and of itself compliance with both the zoning and the subdivision regulations. So I appreciate allowing the opportunity for public input, but really this is an administrative review just to determine compliance with those regulations.
What did the notices that were sent to the adjacent property owners state?
Hold on one second and I'll read it to you. You are hereby advised that Edgewater Hill Enterprises has filed an application with the Town of East Hampton Planning and Zoning Commission for a two-lot re-subdivision of a portion of the mixed-use development district property, which is owned of record by Edgewater Hill Enterprises, LLC. The subdivision application and the development which it is intended to foster is consistent with the master plan for the Edgewater Hill community previously approved by the East Hampton Planning and Zoning Commission. Proposed Lot 1, located on the southeasterly side of East High Street, is intended to accommodate Market Square 2, a mixed-use building with commercial and/or restaurant uses on the first floor and restaurant uses on the upper two floors. Proposed Lot 2, located southeasterly of East High Street and depicted on sheet 2 of the re-subdivision plan, is intended to accommodate multifamily residential development. The East Hampton Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on the re-subdivision application at its regularly scheduled meeting of Wednesday, July 1, 2020 at 7:00 p.m. Due to restrictions emanating from the COVID-19 pandemic, the meeting will be held as a virtual meeting. Should you wish to participate in the meeting or be advised of the proceedings occurring at the meeting, you should contact the East Hampton Land Use Department to be advised as to the procedure required in order to join and participate in the meeting. Enclosed herewith for your reference, please find a notice with respect to the public hearing that has been scheduled. Again, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you should contact the Land Use Department of the Town of East Hampton at the East Hampton Town Hall to make arrangements to view the application and supporting documentation in the event that you wish to review the same. You are being advised of the pendency of this application due to the fact that you have been identified as the owner of real property which either abuts the application parcel or is located directly across the street from the application parcel. Should you desire further information with respect to this application, in addition to obtaining application information from the East Hampton Planning Department, you may contact this office as representative of the applicant. And I have received no inquiries myself.
Thank you.
Attorney Heller, what was the date of that they went out?
They went out on June 15th.
Jeremy, have you heard any comments from any of the recipients of the certified letters?
No, we had no comments or questions come into our office.
And everybody signed the certified?
So they're not required to go certified anymore. Their certificate of mailing, so that the applicant gets a receipt that they went out and they were mailed. But that was a statutory change that was done a number of years ago. But we do have those receipts. We have copies of the letters that went out, and those were all submitted on time.
Okay, thank you.
I have no further concerns.
Okay, with that, may I have a motion to close the public hearing for application PZC-20-010 Edgewater Hill Enterprises, East High Street, for re-subdivision for two lots, map 10A, block 85, lot C.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I have a,
5C, yeah. You said lot 5C, correct?
it is lot 5C. So I have a motion on the floor to close the public hearing. Do I have a second on that? I think we already have that. Yes?
Seconded.
Okay, second. Comments or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections, any abstentions? So moved. I would like a motion to approve the application of PZC -20-010 Edgewater Hill Enterprises, East High Street, for a re-subdivision for two lots, map 10A, block 85, lot C.
Lot 5C, correct?
5C. For the following reasons, we have positive comments from inland wetlands. We have compliance with the PZC regulations, and that this is a re-subdivision and is consistent with the master plan for this development. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Jim. Comments or discussions on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay,
Thank
New
you,
business.
gentlemen
you're welcome.
Thank you.
and ladies.
New business is the application of PZC-20-013, Peter and Sheila Engel, 11 Markham Road, for a re-subdivision for 3 lots. Map
Ray,
30
we got an agenda item number 5E, I believe, unless that was changed.
5E, okay. I did skip over that one. Thank you for catching that. Okay, updates to the section 3.1 Lake Poketipog Protection Zone. Jeremy, I'm going to put you on the spot for this one.
Sure, not a problem. So just to recap, we did plan to open the public hearing on this tonight just to start the ball moving again. We had a number of public workshops back over the winter months. The latest draft update of the regulation was from January 7th, I think, is the date of that regulation. There were no substantial comments after the last public workshop, so we have not done anything with the draft. We do not have a substantial audience tonight, so what the commission feels like doing is up to you. But, I do want to start the ball rolling on this again. As Ray said, we're hoping to be in person, at least to some extent in August. No guarantee that that'll happen, but just wanted to sort of start the process on this again so we don't forget about it. We had gained a lot of good momentum, and I don't want it to fall off the table.
Yeah, with that, I think that, everybody was in consensus at the last meeting that we would want to have some kind of in-person type meeting. So I am in favor of that. And I would like to make a motion that we schedule it to the next public hearing for updates to section 3.1 Lake Poketipog Protection Zone, the next regularly scheduled meeting on August
I think it's the 5th.
5th. Okay, thank you.
I think so.
Of 2020.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to put this onto the public hearings for August 5th, 2020. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Jim. Comments or discussions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anybody object or abstain? Okay, we're going to have that move unanimously. New business, application PZC-20-013, Peter and Sheila Engel, 11 Markham Road, for a relot subdivision for 3 lots, map 35, block 91, lots 2-3A. And this one is just for discussion at this point. If we're going to actually do that, we would need to have a public hearing, which we could schedule as early as next month. So with that, I think we have the applicants here, Peter and Sheila. If you
Yep,
could,
we're here.
Hello.
if you could just first identify yourself for the record and then just very briefly tell us what you're trying to do.
Sheila Engel,
Peter Engel.
and our surveyor is also here, but we're making 2 building lots for our kids.
Children.
And
What about how big is the property at this point?
39
acres, right?
acres.
And you're breaking it up into?
We're putting 2 lots on that 39 acre. 2 building lots.
What size is it? You want to know what size the building lots are?
No, it's just, we don't, this is to the overview of the project. We don't need to know the exact numbers, but I know you've already been speaking with Jeremy, so it meets.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got,
about 5.
5.76 acres and the other one is 5.349 acres.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring up the map in just a minute here. I just got to get my hands back to it. I accidentally closed out my window. So
Okay,
just
thank
give me
you.
a moment. I'll get that back on the screen.
Once again, we are not hearing this evening. This is just a preliminary discussion.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay.
When was the last time it was subdivided?
We bought a piece, I think, let me see if it says on here. I bought a piece from my dad, I don't know, 9 years ago.
Oh, no, this original was, yeah.
Well, what do you,
Because I don't understand. So this is a 32 piece that we bought together with we have two other parcels in the same, it's adjoining two other parcels, and it's originally a farm. So
my parents gave me a building lot. We bought another piece of property from them. And then our last purchase from my father was 25 acres. And now our children want to build a home, so we want to break off 2 lots for them. That's what we're trying to accomplish.
I think the map is a bit better explaining than we are.
Yeah, so I've got the map up on the screen. Peter and Sheila live on what's shown as lot 2, and I'm going to circle it here. So they live out here. That's an existing lot currently. This lot over here, which is shown as lot 1, is another existing lot. There's a single family home on that. The proposed re-subdivision that we're here to talk about tonight is for lots 2-3A and 2-3B. And these lots have their frontage. They actually have their frontage down on Route 16 as you get down towards Flatbrook and the Salmon River, although the topography, and if I were to show the topography map, which isn't up right now, the topography is so steep back here that the frontage is basically useless. So what they're doing is proposing to use an access that already exists in a stream not a stream crossing, but a wetland area here. It's an upland review area, the driveway, to access these 2 lots from their rear sides off of the existing Markham Road in this area here. Joel Fuller was on the call. I think he's back on. I think he had actually dropped off, so I'm going to unmute him. Joel, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay, great. So I just gave a real brief synopsis of the subdivision, but I don't know if you want to go into a little bit more in a little bit more depth for the commission.
Yeah, sure. A brief rundown here. What we're trying to do is create 2 residential home sites for family members, and it's also in a Salmon River protection zone. So that's why the lots are both over 5 acres. The frontage is down on Colchester Avenue or Route 16, like you said. And we're handling it with easements from Markham Road back into the property over land of Sheila and Peter. Basically, we just tested with Chatham Health, found acceptable sanitary areas for septic, and I've just kind of laid out 2 very private type home sites with the 5 acres. We got wetlands approval, and using the easements kept us out of the wetlands. And then back, we're going to upgrade the common drive in front, but I believe Sheila put in for a waiver on the common drive because the zoning regs call for 22 feet, and actually Markham Road out front is hang on a second. Actually, only about 15, 16 feet. So we're asking for a waiver because the town road that accesses down to the common drive is actually smaller than the common drive will be. The common drive worked out well grade-wise. And it only has to be common, 22 feet wide, past Peter and Sheila's driveway. Then it goes to a 2-lot access where it doesn't have to be as wide. but it still would be a common drive to keep down disturbances. And there'd be no clearing for the drive all the way back because it's in a field, and the only clearing will be for the drives to the actual house site. But I don't, both lots
Is it a
do have
private road or is that a town road?
common drive. It's a town road as far as I know.
Yeah, Markham Road is town and it's maintained by the town. Yep.
Yeah. So that would extend all the way back to where they're looking for an easement?
Well,
So
Markham Road.
Go ahead, Joel.
Markham Road comes down and goes past our common drive. So our common drive will not be an extension of Markham Road. It will just be a common drive off of an existing town road. As you go past our common drive down Markham, it becomes less improved, I might say. But the town does maintain all the way down to the common drive. It is dirt or gravel, and it is graded, and there is some drainage, that they have there to control some of the runoff.
So when you say common drive, just so I understand you correctly, it would run parallel to the road?
No, it takes it veers off at roughly a 90-degree angle to Markham Road and goes south into the property and continues south all the way down past the new 2 residential home sites. I know it can be a little confusing, but we have the easements delineated on the plan that are allowing, that are going to be deeded out and allow each house to have its drive under an easement from other land of Peter and Sheila Engel.
Are you able to see the map there on your screen, Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay, so
But it's kind of small, but
yeah, I hear you. But I'm gonna give you a cursor tour here. So you see my hand there?
Yep.
All right. So Markham Road runs along the top of the map in this general area here. That's Markham Road, and the common driveway that Joel is referring to splits off and runs to the south along here.
Okay.
So that road, that driveway currently accesses that currently provides access to Peter and Sheila's house here, and it will just be extended further to the south to access the lots 2-3A and 2-3B.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification. That does help because I was thinking that the common or the road, the private road or the public road, I guess, was more on towards the 2 lots that they're looking.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that stays to the north up here.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if this goes forward, do they come back with a site plan after a subdivision plan?
Actually, the site plan is done as part of these subdivision regulations.
No, I understand to get a subdivision, but it doesn't really show the driveway or where the buildings are going. Will that be on the next phase if this is approved as a subdivision?
Should be on sheet.
No,
Sheet 3 should have a drawing.
Yeah, we have those, Roy. I could pull those up for you if you want. I wanted to give you the overview.
We're not actually going to vote on this tonight. The only thing we're voting on to this evening is, are we going to include it at the August 5th meeting? So this is more of an overview of what we're going to be discussing as far as this entire re-subdivision and site plan. Actually, we're not doing a site plan, we're doing a re-subdivision, but as part of that, we can request exactly what you are asking. Where does the house go? Septic systems, all of that.
And
I
we'll
have-
do that in more detail at the next meeting.
Okay.
I
so
do have,
the access-
I have a question on it. When you get through with this piece of property, what I'm seeing is like 5 individual lots. I got the so-called 2, the 2-3A, and the 2-3, that's 3 of them. Then you got this big parcel that goes really to the left of 2, but there's another one in between. So are we, is it really showing me on this big piece of property, 5 different lots?
No, 3.
3? Who owns it? Who owns all this other land right here in between the 2 and the 3?
We own 2 parcels on the road. And then this parcel that we're dividing, which is the 30-something acres.
I guess what I'm getting at is just make it like a 5 split on this piece, on this big piece of property.
No.
Well, actually, remain,
Joel.
it's going to be, before you get to lot 2-3A, we have a parcel in there that is remaining land of Engel that goes with the other remaining land. So actually, that's all one piece. It's not an approved building lot. It's stated that it won't be an approved building lot on the plans. So we're only creating 2 new residential home sites, 2 lots.
Jim, I see where it could be deceiving because it looks like there's a dotted line, you know, that signifies a split there or a subdivision on the map. we're
Yeah,
looking at.
that's an easement line for my driveway.
It looks like to the left of the lot 2, is that a lot that I'm seeing right there? That one right there?
That's the remaining land parcel of 25.6 acres. That will not be an approved building lot.
I think, Jim, you're referring to this small lot here, the 2.5.
Right. I'm just wondering, basically what I'm really wondering is this going to create like a 5-lot subdivision?
No. No.
Or is it later on there'll be like a 5-lot subdivision
No.
where you
No.
would require open space?
Yeah.
No, not in my life.
No. This is all planted with Christmas trees and flowers and vegetables, and so everything that's remaining is a parcel. It's just, that's the way it's drawn up, but we own all of it, and our house and then the other 2 houses are the only ones that are going to be on the property. We're not.
Jim's referring, just Peter and Sheila, just so you know, Jim is referring to a requirement in the subdivision regulations that once you hit 5 lots from the original large parcel, once you hit 5, so if you subdivided out 1 and then a couple of years later you went back and did another 2, and now you're doing another 2, you're at a 5 total from the original parcel, there's a requirement for open space. But you're not, but Jim, for your information, they're not at 5 lots yet.
Oh, okay.
They're only at 4.
I didn't know, but some of those are already a lot of something. You know.
Yeah, there's all of these were already pre-existing lots that did not come out of the larger parcel, so they're not at the 5 lot
Okay.
metric yet.
Okay, with that, I would like to have a motion to have the application PZC 20-13, Peter and Sheila Engel, 11 Markham Road, for a re-subdivision for 3 lots, map 35, block 91, lot 2 to 3A, to our next regularly scheduled meeting for a public hearing on August 5th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I have a
I'll
motion
second
on the
it.
floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. Do we have any comments or discussions on this application? Not application, on putting this application onto our next regularly scheduled meeting for a public hearing. Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections, any abstentions? So moved. Okay, going on, we have old business, 7A, application PZC-20-011, Edgewater Hill Enterprises, East High Street, for a site plan review for a new mixed-use building in accordance with the MUD Zone Master Plan, map 10A, block 85, lot 5C. The applicant could identify themselves for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Harry Heller. I'm an attorney with an office at 736 Route 32 in Uncasville, and I'm representing the applicant, Edgewater Hill Enterprises, LLC. Also with me this evening to assist in the presentation is David McKay from Boundaries LLC, the design engineer for the project, as well as Stephen and Lisa Motto, principals of the applicant. This is an application for site plan approval for a 3-story mixed-use building on Lot 1, which was approved by the commission in the re-subdivision application earlier this evening. As I indicated, it is a proposed 3-story building with commercial uses on the first floor and residential apartments on the upper 2 floors. The building is shown on the site plan. It is located on the easterly side of East High Street and on the southerly side of Edgewater Circle, which is a community loop road maintained by the property owners in Edgewater Hill, which provides access to current and proposed future phases of the Edgewater Hill Master Plan community. To address the question that was posed earlier in the re-subdivision application, we are proposing parking on the parcel and by an easement on a portion of the adjacent parcel. We've provided a draft of that easement, which should be in the record of the proceedings. The design engineer has proposed 33 parking spaces as depicted on the site development plan on sheet 3 of 12. There is a parking calculation table indicating that the minimum required parking pursuant to your regulations is 22 spaces and the maximum allowable parking is 48 spaces. So the proposed 33 spaces is in the middle of the range required by your zoning regulations. He has also provided for 1 van accessible and 1 standard handicapped space closest to the entrance to the building as depicted on the site development plan.
Is that comparable with the opposing side or the other side?
I'll let Dave McKay answer that because I don't have the MS1 plan in front of me.
This is David McKay with Boundaries. The MS1 site does have a bit more parking, and when you can, the reason for that is that it also is going to be serving another future building. And
I'm sorry, could you please repeat that? I lost track.
yes, yeah, the existing parking, which is to the north of the MS1 building, the existing building, that has a bit more parking spaces than are being proposed for MS2. And the reason being for that is that that's also going to serve future buildings, shared parking for those other buildings. And also, if you happen to drive by, you also notice that that parking lot is never fully utilized at this point. So the 33 spaces we're proposing here, including the 2 handicap accessible spaces, are appropriate for this particular building.
Is there just apartments upstairs? How many apartment buildings are there going to be? 10? Is it
10 units.
Kevin, I don't see where your question's going on this.
I just wanted to make sure that we have adequate parking, if they have full tenant occupancy. And is it is it 2-room or 1-room or bedrooms?
They're
Kevin.
2 bedrooms. Go ahead,
Sorry.
Lisa.
Sorry, Harry. 8 of them are 1-bedroom, Kevin, in the building, and only 2 are 2-bedroom units. And honestly, the parking is really designed so that I mean, while this will support that existing building, there's also parallel parking spaces within, on the sides of that building, on both sides of Edgewater Circle, which are really swing parking for any of the buildings. And then also, like Dave was speaking to in regard to the parking lot located behind MS1 on the other side of the street. Really, the buildings are all in such close proximity that the concept behind it is really anybody can park in any of those parking lots and be able to walk within the conglomerate of Market Square as a whole at the end of the day.
And at the end of the day, that's the whole philosophy behind Market Square, is to create a walkable environment. So hopefully all of the commercial tenants in those buildings can benefit from cross-selling from the various businesses that will attract people there. And I'd point out also that while the parking meets the calculation requirements contained in the zoning regulations, the demand for parking for the commercial and the residential complement rather than conflict with each other. So meaning that by and large, the people that are using the parking to frequent the commercial enterprises in the building will be there at a different time of day from the residential tenants in the building. Now,
I guess I was just concerned that there wouldn't be adequate parking for the commercial tenants, or that would maybe make them not want to be commercial tenants if there's not adequate parking. So that was the reason for my question.
yeah, and just because of the time demand, there should be no conflict between the commercial demand and the residential demand. Now, this whole portion, the Market Square portion of the project, is located within the Lake Pocatapog protection area. So this project has been designed not only as a standalone, but taking into consideration the full build out of Market Square as depicted on the master plan that was approved by the Commission in 2012 in determining both peak runoff demands from the build out of the project, as well as meeting the water quality demands of the project, which of course are critical being in the Lake Pocatapog protection area. And there is an extensive drainage report that has been submitted with the application that has been provided to Anchor Engineering, your review engineers, who have reviewed both the design for the project as well as the drainage design for the project, and have rendered an initial round of comments which were addressed by David McKay. And then there was a second round of comments which have also been addressed. And those comments have resulted in both a letter response to Anchor as well as revision A of the plans, which is the June 15, 2020 revision. And in a nutshell, what the drainage design was intended to capture as required by your regulations is, number one, from flood flow attenuation, there will not be any increase in peak runoff rates in the design storms from the 2 to the 100-year design storm. And secondly, the water quality volume is being fully treated by the water quality detention basin, which has been proposed in the westerly portion of the site, a portion of which will be built in conjunction with MS2 as the full build out of that water quality detention basin is designed to accommodate future phases of the Market Square development. but that will meet the state requirements contained in the Connecticut 2004 Stormwater Quality Manual. And I believe that that has been reviewed by your design engineer, and your design engineer has concurred with those calculations. Again, this building and the design is totally consistent with the master plan that was approved by the commission in 2012. It is a site plan review, so it's a review for purposes of determining compliance with your regulations. And in this case, because it's an overlay zone, both with the Lake Pocatapog protection area requirements as well as the master plan requirements for the mixed use development district. If you have any specific questions, I'll try to address them or have David McKay address them. I can't answer that one.
Also, this is Steve Motto, principal of the application. This was reviewed by the Architectural Review Committee, and it was there was no comments. That they recognized that it fell in line with the master plan approval, and it also was approved by the Wetlands Commission.
And this is basically, I mean, like was stated before, it's a mirror image of what was there
Of that,
or
of
on
the
the
one
other side,
across the street.
except
Correct.
for, is the grading about the same too, I guess? And
Yes, I mean, the flat is very site in that location.
everything's pitched away from the lake watershed area. And I think you went into that, I think I remember that from, I don't know, a prior meeting where all the drainage calculations were done.
Yeah.
Well, all the drainage eventually goes to Lake Pocatapog. It goes under Route 66 through a 30-inch culvert, but it's all treated on site. In MS2, it is going to the water quality detention basin that's at the westerly portion of this site. Other portions of Market Square and future phases of the project will drain to the man-made pond, which is located easterly of Market Square 2. And then from that pond, it drains out of that pond through an 18-inch culvert back into the stormwater drainage system that eventually leads to that 30-inch culvert. But all of the stormwater within the Lake Pocatapog watershed in this project is treated in order to comply with the 2004 Stormwater Quality Manual requirements.
And as far as the town hall there and their drainage, that all leads into that pond as well, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And has that been, I don't know, monitored? I know it's been monitored, but
The town hall drainage is actually, there's some portion that goes down the new access drive, the police emergency access drive, and goes just those catch basins and is treated over on that side of the property. Majority of it's catched on site, underground infiltrators, and also above ground retention ponds, and then treated, and it goes into the pond on Edgewater site. And then from there, it goes into the system that leads to the 30-inch culvert that Harry mentioned.
I'll jump in a little bit on that too. I actually walked the town hall site today with Hillary Kenyon from Northeast Aquatics, just to kind of verify and look at everything. And the drainage system up the new town hall is working quite well. We're not really even seeing any water leaving the retention pond that's up there. So it's functioning as it should.
Jeremy, do we anticipate any problems with a runoff into the lake with what happened with the town hall project, with this project?
No, this is a very different soil characteristic, very different topography, and a much, much smaller site. The town hall is up on Baker Hill, which is a much more clay-like material, and was a very large cut and a very big site. This is a much, much more contained and much smaller site to deal with. We did not have any issues with runoff when they did MS1 across the street. I don't anticipate any issues with this.
Okay.
with the town hall runoff there, how much of the runoff would go into that retention pond that's for the MS2? That
None of the town hall goes into that detention pond. Some of it goes into the man-made pond. If you're looking at the site plan, yeah, Jeremy is now showing you where that man-made pond is. That's where some of the town hall drainage goes into. And then from there, as you know, during design storm events, as the elevation rises in that pond, there's an 18-inch HDPE culvert that relieves increased water levels within the pond. And that 18-inch culvert is interconnected to the drainage system within Edgewater Hill that eventually leads to the 30-inch culvert under Route 66, and then through a series of swales eventually gets to Lake Pocatapog.
The chances of it getting to that 30-inch pipe under 66, what are the chances of that?
Oh, it's going to. During design storm events, you're going to have outflow out of that man-made pond, and you are going to get water through that culvert. But the design has been formulated in order to treat that water, so that's clean water that gets to that culvert, and also to attenuate the flows, not just from MS2, but from the whole project. So at full build out, the flows that reach that 30-inch culvert will be equal to or less than the flows that it existed pre-development.
Okay.
And that's accomplished through a variety of mechanisms. As Steve indicated, you are infiltrating some of the stormwater at the town hall. We are detaining stormwater in the detention basin and the water quality basin on the west side of MS2. And that's accomplished through an outlet structure, which is located within that basin. And what the outlet structure is really a catch basin, which instead of being below the ground is above the ground within the basin, and it has different orifices in it, so that during more intense storm events, as the water level rises in that water quality detention basin and gets to the level of those orifices, it meters the water out of that basin at a controlled rate, which is equal to or less than exists pre-development. Now, it also accommodates what's called the water quality volume, so that the water quality volume is generally the first inch of rainfall, which has the most pollutants in the stormwater runoff. So that basin is designed so that the water quality volume is accommodated below the lowest orifice in that outlet structure. So that water is, what's called the water quality volume is actually infiltrated back into the ground in that basin. And it has an underdrain in it, so it's designed to infiltrate within 48 hours so you don't have standing water in that basin.
And Jeremy, all of this has been reviewed by town staff?
It's been reviewed by us. It's also been reviewed by Anchor Engineering.
Thank you.
And who will service and clean those catch basins?
This is going to be, as we indicated in 2012, a master plan community under the Connecticut Common Interest Ownership Act. So there is an association being formed, and the association, which is comprised of all of the various properties within Edgewater Hill, are members of that association. Pursuant to the purchase and sale agreement, when the property was sold to the town of East Hampton for the town hall, the town also has a voting interest in that association, but the association is a body politic, and they're responsible for the maintenance of all of the infrastructure in Edgewater Hill.
Kev, short answer, me. We haven't taken snacks off any of the catch basins down there yet to date since we started construction. We're maintaining those catch basins on a regular basis. We take them off, clean them, and put them back on. And I want it's kind of easy to forget, but the town hall site, we had the worst rain that we've had in over 100 years. So I know you guys, I think I've done enough in town to know I did all Laurel Ridge, did the daycare, did the, Antiques' office. Never had an issue, but that rain was quite substantial that we had in fall 2019.
And I'll remind you that Steve can't hide from us anymore because I have to drive in and out of there every day.
That's true.
So I'm keeping a close eye on him these days.
Okay, this is a site plan review, and because of the extraordinary circumstances, I'm going to ask if any members of the public would like to make a comment on this. Please direct your comments to me, the chair, and we'll deal with it at that point. Jeremy, if you could unmute the public.
Okay, everybody out there should have the ability to unmute themselves at this point and speak if they choose to.
Hey, this is Meg.
Hi, Meg.
Hi. I just have a question about the parking. Attorney Heller had mentioned that the parking would be such that people that lived there wouldn't be there at the same time as the people that are going to use the commercial area. I think I heard that correctly. Has any consideration been given to what the world is right now, where 75 to 80, maybe even 90% of the people now are working from home? So they won't be leaving their homes to go to work. They will be still parked in their parking slot, working from home. Will the people coming in to use the commercial areas have a place to park? Just a thought.
Yeah, I'll let Steve address that in a minute, but we're very confident that it will. And let me say that, it's a fine balance. As a developer, our client has an interest in making sure that the property is properly parked, because the success of his investment is critical on the site being able to comfortably accommodate its tenants. On the other hand, we don't want to overpark a site, because overparking creates more impervious surface, creates runoff issues, has water quality issues. So what we try to find is a balance that, one, complies with the regulatory requirement, but two, accommodates the needs of the investment itself, but doesn't overpark the investment.
If I can speak to that a little bit, MS1 is a perfect example with the commercial on the first floor. Most of my staff have been working from home, even though we accommodated spaces for the staff in that rear parking lot. And same with Berkshire Hathaway. If there's one person at office on a daily basis, when it's the parking spaces are set up for 10 to 15 employees to be there on a daily basis. So we're very confident, Meg, that we have a sufficient parking and it meets the regulation.
Yeah, I have no doubt that it meets the regulation. My concern is that the way the world is right now, I don't see a lot of people going back to work. I know where I work, 80% of the people on my floor are working from home, and we're not at all in any rush to get anybody back.
No, and that's what I'm saying is that we actually have, if you look at, if we were to take away the employees from the commercial space and they're working from home, we have plenty of overflow parking for our tenants, if that makes sense.
So I guess it comes down to the.
I mean, that's if it's a business. If it's a business like an office space, but if it's a retail space, even then people are coming, and if it's going to be like a small food service establishment, it's probably going to be takeout. But the way this is laid out here, I mean, if you drive by Edgewater today, we have overabundance of parking. We got the front parking lot in front of the daycare. We have the rear parking spaces behind MS1, and then we have all the parallel parking. And I think only 10% to 15% on a daily basis is used.
If I could ask Jeremy to, I know we have the print in front of us. Do you have a larger overview, Jeremy, that can show the two buildings across the street from each other with the parking lot behind MS1?
Yes, give me just a minute. I'll pull up that site plan that I had up earlier, which shows the master plan underlying what's currently been built. That's probably the best thing. So just give me a moment.
Okay.
It's Lisa Motto. One of the other things that Steve forgot to mention and that nobody's mentioned is that while you have the 33 spaces aligned to MS2, right on the side of Edgewater Circle leading up to the town hall, adjacent to MS2, on both sides of the street are parallel parking spaces. And in addition, across the street from MS2 in front of MS1 are another 6 or 7 parking spaces. And then obviously behind MS1 and all up the other side of Edgewater Circle are additional parallel parking spaces, which are all swing spaces to be utilized for retail, office, any sort of commercial tenants, as well as any visiting guests who may be visiting people in the apartments. But to your point, the reason most of these apartments are 1-bedroom apartments, so we have a lot of single people in these apartments so we do have a number of people who just are single vehicle because they're the 1-bedroom apartments in these particular buildings. But I just didn't want anybody to forget about the number of spaces that we have aligning both sides of Edgewater Circle for parallel spacing as well. And all of those obviously support the retail.
Hello.
The reason I asked, I'll get to you, Mr. Lowe, in a moment. The reason that I asked the question or asked Jeremy to put this up, Jeremy, if you could, on the upper part behind MS1, just circle where the parking is in there. So all of that is parking right now. And then that is literally just walk across the street to the MS2, proposed MS2 building. So there is, I just want to show where the parking actually is. Questions are excellent. The whole issue of the parking needs to be discussed. And then you keep talking about the parallel parking. Jeremy, could you just outline where that parallel parking would be? Thank you. Mr. Lowe, I do have a comment.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I have a couple of questions. Will the proposed traffic light or roundabout on 66 impact the property and parking in that area? Will the parking lot have access to the town access road to the new town hall? And is there capability for snow load in this place for heavy snows?
Okay. Does any member of the public have comments? I'd like to gather them all up in one shot here. Okay, with that, Attorney Heller, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. This property, this lot for MS2 is not adjacent to the town hall parcel, so it will not have access directly to the town hall access road. I mean, obviously Edgewater Circle, which is the loop road within the Edgewater Hill Master Plan community, provides the primary access to the town hall. So there's access to the town hall property off of Edgewater Circle, but there's no direct access from the proposed MS2 lot. The other two aspects of the question I'd like to let David McKay address.
Sure. Regarding the future traffic light, Jeremy, if you could just show us that location on the screen there. That's going to be at the intersection of Route 66 and Edgewater Circle. So traffic coming into the development and out of the development will be traveling through that traffic light. And then once in the development, there'll be access to the parking lot here to MS2, and then similarly to MS1 on the opposite side and the rest of Market Square. So traffic through the development will pass through the traffic light, but it does not directly control access to the parking lots.
Well,
And
currently,
then-
there is no regulate, or the state does not require a traffic light there at this point in time, correct? It's once
Correct.
it's developed or more substantially developed, that
Correct.
traffic light there.
I think, Kevin, I think you and Dave, I think he was referring to the River Cog presentation a few weeks ago that showed the possibility of introducing a roundabout right there at the Old Marlboro Road Edgewater intersection. There was a rendering of it. It wasn't anything that we had heard about until we had seen it on the internet. But there was a presentation and concept of putting a roundabout similar to the ones in Glastonbury Center at that intersection.
So if I can, I'll just expound on that a little bit. That's a 2-year-long corridor study that's being funded by DOT and RiverCog, and it is basically it's a long-term planning document which throws a number of concept plans into the mix that become priority funding projects for DOT in the future. That's where the light down at Payne Boulevard in front of Winchester Cafe came from, over in Portland, and a number of other. The new traffic light at Lakeview came from a former corridor study. So the roundabout that was shown is a concept plan. There's no guarantee that that will ever happen. Roundabouts tend to move traffic better than traffic lights do. But that whole intersection is kind of screwy with the Old Marlboro Road jumping in from the other side at a skewed angle. So that was a concept plan that was shown, but there's no guarantee. And if it happens, it's years away.
Was that discussed at the last meeting where they had over 100 people?
That was for their plan of conservation and development. So that's a different study. That was a presentation. Okay. When did they do that? When did they do that? 60s. That was part of a town council meeting a few weeks ago, I think. They did that presentation, and that's been a long-term thing. We had a number of meetings in town over the last couple of years for the Route 66 corridor study. There was one at the library back in, right. I'm going to say maybe in the fall, and I think there was one in the spring before that. There've been a few.
Yeah, there's one in Portland. Yeah.
Yes, there was. Yep.
Portland, East Hampton. Yeah.
Since we've discussed this for quite a long time, anybody have any further from the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Jeremy, could you go back to the site plan sheet?
Yep.
I had a question about the existing building to the south. Will that building remain? It's the existing one-story residential?
Yes, as part of this project, that building is going to remain, but that building is located under a future building site for the Market Square development. So at this time, that building's going to remain, but in the future, it will be removed and replaced with a Market Square building.
Okay, and how will that building be accessed?
There's a second curb cut off of Edgewater Circle right at the bottom of the page, proposing to improve that gravel access to the existing drive there.
Okay. So that building will be a future phase. That building will be replaced.
Yes.
Okay.
And then just as far as landscaping, I don't know. I mean, Jeremy, everything's on the up and up on that?
Yes, it is. And as Steve, I think it was Steve mentioned, Design Review Board took a look at it. And the current landscaping is in place for the existing building, and it's consistent with the master plan and compliant with the regulation.
Yeah, and again, if you look at sheet 6 of 12, sheet 6 of 12 has the site lighting and landscaping plan, so it is a component of what you're approving this evening.
Okay, with that, if there's no further comments or questions from the commission, I'd like to entertain a motion on this to approve the application PZC 20-011 Edgewater Hill Enterprises, East High Street, for a site plan review for a new mixed-use building in accordance with the Mud Zone Master Plan, map 10A, block 85, lot C, for the following reasons. Positive comments from inland wetlands, consistent with the Mud Master Plan and consistent with the planning and zoning regulations.
Do we have to close the public hearing before we make that motion?
There's no public hearing. I, as a courtesy, invited the public to speak. This is a site plan, and site plans do not have a public hearing attached to them.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Anybody want to take?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Anybody?
I'll second it. This is Tim.
I have a motion on the floor that's seconded. Any comments or discussions on this application?
I mean, I'm okay with approving it because it's part of the master plan. You know, normally we like to hear from the public or see the public or have in-person contact with the public, but since this was part of the plan and you know, it's really a site approval, I think we're okay with it.
Okay. With that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections, any abstentions? So moved. Thank you for being here this evening.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a good holiday.
Thank you
Thank
very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you.
Now we are up to 7B. I'm going to make the same comment I had as last time, which is I'd really like to do this discussion in person. We still have a lot of time on this, and if we could just continue this to our next regularly scheduled meeting, where hopefully we will be able to see each other.
Ray, I'd like to add to that, Ray, if I could, is, you know, just to complement that, and just meld it in with C and D and E. C, D, and E on the agenda of 7. If we could just meld all those together and say, just push them off to the next meeting when we can be hopefully in person.
What I would actually like to do on the C, D, and E is get any comments from the commission members. I'd like to do the same. I guess I would like to do that, but I would like to get any comments on the sign regulations, home-based occupations, and updates to the zoning map individually, not for discussion this evening, but just to get those to put in so that it makes Jeremy's job easier in putting together some models for us as far as regulations.
How do you want feedback solicited?
As individuals, so that right now we're discussing 7B. I would like to continue that to our next regularly scheduled meeting.
I'm talking about for CD and E. You said you wanted comments from the commission members before we move it to
Yes, please.
the next meeting, and you want us to send that to you directly, to the commission? What's the best way to provide feedback?
What I would like to do is I would like to first, anytime that you have anything to add, Jeremy would appreciate it, and I would appreciate it, sending it to Jeremy. But this evening, what I'd like to do is I'd like to address B first, and then on C, D, and E, what I would like to do is just read those off. If anybody has anything, yes, fine. Otherwise, just move it off to the next meeting.
Say bye.
I'd like to make a motion that we move item B to the regularly scheduled meeting.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second, Roy.
I have a second from Roy. Any comments or discussions on this? Hearing none, I have a motion on the floor seconded to move the application PZC-20-003 to our next regularly scheduled meeting of August 5th, 2020. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any objections or any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. Next one is 7C, update the sign regulation to include POR sign standards. I know Jeremy has worked on that. He has sent us a lot of things on that. Anybody have anything to add tonight? If not, if we could just move that to the next one. We don't need a motion on that. If anybody has anything to say this evening, I'd appreciate it. Okay, going
Just
to
where can we get the latest copy, Jeremy, of what's being proposed?
I sent it to you last month. It should be on the website, but I can send it out again.
If you would please do that, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, happily.
Okay, 7D, home-based occupations. I know that we have had a lot of information given to us. Jim Senate has had a number of comments on that, and I would appreciate any further comments this evening briefly, and then anything else that is for a request for further information or more information that they would like to share. Please send it to Jeremy and, if appropriate, the rest of the commission. Does anybody have anything on home-based occupations this evening?
Yeah, I had something. I was talking to Jeremy early before the meeting, and I'd like to see the requirements that Marlborough, Glastonbury, and East Haddam have, because I think it's important that we have all the towns around us to see what they're doing. And then also, I've asked Jeremy if he could talk to the town planners of that and see on what they have on their regulation, if has been any problems with what they've had or something that they would have not liked to have had.
And I will do that and provide a report for you at your next meeting.
And that would be, see, he's already given us what we used to have in East Hampton before we took it off. We have Colchester, we have East Haddam, and we haven't Haddam. Those are the ones that touch us right now. He's also given us Hebron too, which is the next town up from Marlborough. I looked at Marlborough's, and Marlborough's looks very close to some of the others like Colchester, but it'd be nice to have that. And then I also think that on something like this, we probably ought to be going and having some later on, some workshops on the thing so that we can see what we like of each one, don't like about each one.
Yes, I agree.
And our working systems.
I would also urge the commission members to review the staff notes that Jeremy has sent to us today concerning the home-based occupations, which is listed under 7C.
I read those, Jeremy, the 5 questions that you, in your comments, I think are very good to give us something to think about going forward. I think what comment you made, the key is sensible regulations going forward so that we come up with something that's workable for everybody. I know everybody won't be happy when it's workable for everybody, but let's get this right the first time and don't have to run into too many problems down the road. So thank you for your input on this, Jeremy, and you're keeping us on task here.
I agree with you, Roy. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that some of the things we have to think about are just kind of to Meg's point about today's world, right? Because it seems to me I read some of the town's regulations, Jeremy, of what you sent, and a lot of it just seems like it's so based on like brick and mortar type home type businesses, which I don't know that there's that much of that going on anymore. Like you could see some towns will restrict sales on premises while some don't. I think that we should specifically address work at home, people who are working at home, where the primary place of business is not the actual home, and education teachers, educational professionals, just given the number of educational professionals that are working from home these days, or people who are looking to go into the business of providing education, particularly preschool and younger children, where sometimes parents are, at this point in time trying to look at what options they have because their options are limited when schools close down. There's just some things that I was thinking about as I was reading the regulations. And then some other things I jotted down as things that we should think about are things like accessory buildings, whether or not we want to allow home-based occupations to occur just because of the tendency of whenever it's happening in a building that's not in the actual residence for it to turn into more of a business versus a home-based occupation. And to me, I like the approach of not being over restrictive, but just identifying the types that we think we would want to come before the commission for a review. Because there may be instances where a use in accessory type dwelling is fine, right?
Yes.
Those are just things that just came to mind as I was reading the other towns' regulations. I didn't like Portland's, just the way it was written. There were a lot of holes in it. I agree with Jim. It'd be neat to see what Marlborough and Glastonbury have.
One of the things that came up in a previous discussion years ago on this topic, and it might come up again, if I'm working for the Hartford Insurance Company, I'm using my space to work for the Hartford. Does the Hartford should they be taxed for the space I'm using? And what about teachers? They're working from home. Everything's changing. So should the should the town of your towns be helping to pay the rent and the mortgages on teachers that are using their space to teach public schools? So, I mean, these are things that might come up now, especially the way things are going to be going forward as it appears. So, but those questions came up way back, I think, 10 years ago. Or
How did they decide to regulate that, or like what was their reasoning behind regulating that, or ideas to regulate that? Did that
Well, it
come
wasn't so much to regulate. I think it was should the town be collecting taxes from the insurance company employees that are working from home, working for the insurance company? I don't, it got kind of complicated and convoluted. It's just it might come up again. So when I'm working for my home, when I'm working for a corporation out of Hartford, my space, the town do they want to tax the 100 square feet of my office to the Travelers Insurance Company? It did come up before. I think it'll probably come up again.
Yeah, I'm just curious how they thought about the regulation of that. How
it didn't
monitored and how it would be.
It didn't actually come up specifics. It was that the questions were raised, and
Yeah,
even
no, I
now,
hear ya.
more so now, the way things may be going forward, as Meg alluded to, is 80% of the people don't want to go back. I hear teachers don't even want to go back. So I don't know. When we get down that road, that's a question that might come up.
Yeah, and then if they change jobs, oops, I don't know what to happen there.
I don't know. I don't know. How do you assess these things?
I guess the question is, what additional taxes would you pay? Because you're already paying taxes on the real estate itself.
I know. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer. I know it came up, and there was a lot of discussion about it before.
It's interesting. Sure.
So I would urge the commission to kind of stick with uses and not try to get too in the weeds in terms of tax collection and all of that. Your function really is not about balancing the budget for the town. It's about providing for uses that make sense for people in their homes and in their neighborhoods. So I would, I understand that got into the conversation the last time around, and I've read through the notes and I've read through the documents that were proposed at the time, and I think it got a little bit too muddy, and I would urge the commission to try and stay away from that part of it, because that's really not your charge. The charge here is consistent land uses and preservation of property values. And so what you need to be thinking about, I think, is, whether or not somebody working in a home office for a larger company on their own. I mean, I'm doing it, right? I'm in my house right now running this meeting. Technically, I'm working for the town of East Hampton, but I live across the river. But that's not a home-based business. This is not where I'm running a business. I just happen to be logged into the internet on my personal computer to run this meeting. So, we got to be a little bit careful with that, but it's definitely something that we need to talk about and how that factors in. But I would stay away from the taxation piece of it.
Something I like.
Good point. To strike that from the record, Christine. You can erase that question. I didn't say anything.
There's a lot of these towns that they have this as of right. You don't even need a permit, and things like working from your home. If I work for Pratt Whitney, might be working from home or something like that. That wouldn't even, you'd get a buy on that one, so to speak, because that's as of a right, which no one even sees and no one comes in your house or anything, you know. But if you look at someone like Marlboro and like even Colchester, they have something like that where this is as of right, you know. And then then there's more complicated ones, which is you need a permit. And those are the ones that are going to be a little on the hairy side because someone may say, gee, I don't want a whole bunch of traffic going into that house and buying things and that type of thing. But we can take a look and see what all our neighboring towns have and take the best of each. It would
Okay.
apply to our town.
7E, we have updates to the official East Hampton zoning map. I think we need to, as Jeremy has indicated, we should dispose of the issues on Main Street until at first, and then hold off on the update to the official zoning map until we have that figured out. And then we'll go on to number 8, planners report. I know you've already sent it to us, Jeremy, but if you could just hit those items very quickly.
Yeah, sure. Just so you're all aware, the town hall is now reopened to the public. We're still urging everybody to do as much online as they can, especially when it comes to commission business, because you're running online. But the building is now open. You are allowed to come in and do your business. You have to wear a mask. You've got to follow proper social distancing guidelines and things of that nature, but we are now open to the public. We're at One Community Drive. And so if you're out there in the public talking to folks, a lot of people are ending up on the north side of the lake at Community Road, which is off from Bay Road. That is not the right location. If anybody's questioning on where we're located, we are One Community Drive. So that's number 1. Number 2, I have a thing in there. I met with the owners and some representatives for the food bag on the corner of Main Street and Colchester Avenue. They came to you with a very preliminary application a number of months ago. They're getting ready to move forward with that, and I anticipate an application will come into you probably next month, and we'll start the process on that. They're looking again. The overview there is they're looking to tear down the existing store, the small one, and rebuild and increase the number of pumps and redo the area. They've purchased some adjoining properties and they'll be kind of cleaning up that corner. So I think it's going to be a good project.
Jeremy, as far as a tax collector, will they handle things online? Like, I mean, if you sell a vehicle or something like that?
You'd have to call them for those specifics. I know most things they are doing online, and I think they've waived the fees for tax payments for the time being. If you're paying online, I think those additional fees that usually apply have been waived. I mean, we're trying to keep people out of the building as much as we can.
Right. So they're very accommodating. Everybody that's in that building is very accommodating to doing some type of online service.
Yeah, within the capabilities to do so. Yeah, we're, like for us, we're taking everything digitally these days and by mail. I think tax, certainly they can take payments online. We don't have that capability yet, but yeah, we're doing the best we can to accommodate and keep people at home as much as we can.
Are you guys mostly working from home, or is there?
No, we're all in the building at this point.
Okay. Town manager, all those guys?
Yeah, we're pretty much fully back inside the building at this point. I don't know of anybody that's really working from home anymore.
But you guys all have your separate offices, so it's not really an issue. I mean, everybody's got
right. Right. It's not the way it was over at the other town hall. The department heads all have their own individual offices now, and we've done a number of things. If you were to walk in, you'll see plexiglass all over the place, and stickers telling you where to stand. It's a lot like the supermarket.
Okay, the last one was a grant application was submitted to.
Oh yeah, right.
For an open space and watershed land acquisition grant to fund the purchase of approximately 7.5 acres in the watershed. And you said that you would update us as the grant application process moves forward.
Yep, I will. That is the Christopher property. For any of you that are familiar with it, we've been working with the family there to purchase Christopher Pond and about 7.5 acres around it. I submitted that application up to DEP today. and they did receive it. So hopefully by this fall, we'll be able to move on purchasing that property. We're very excited about it. About 21% of the water that reaches Lake Pocatapog flows through Christopher Pond. And the hope is that we can gain control of the pond and the surrounding acreage and eventually do some LID treatments there to work on improving the stormwater quality as the water reaches down to Lake Pocatapog.
How many feet are you looking to, is the town looking to take over that's outside of the stream area? Like
well, it's a 7.5 acre parcel. So it's a little bit, it's hard for me to give you that, but it's I'm going to say on the eastern side, it's 100+ feet. And then on the northwestern side, it's well over 150 feet. And then along where the house is, we really just took the stream bank, about 20 feet of it or so.
Okay, with that, we have already set the public hearings for the August 5th meeting. And so what I would like to do is entertain well, first, I'd like to thank everybody for being here this evening and taking time out to do this. I really do appreciate it. And then I'd really like to entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? I'm seconding it. Aye.
Aye.
Hopefully we will see some of you in Town Hall next month. Please stand by and hopefully we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Good night, everyone.
Night, everyone.
Night.
This is like the Waltons.
Be careful with the fireworks.
Yeah.